Sawadee welcome back to Thai League Central podcast with your host Ta Lau. Man, it's been an amazing ride so far with 3 match days happening, but it's finally time. It's finally time for match day 8 of the Toyota Thai League. And my guest today, Gian, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have the preview. Yeah, the preview of the 3 biggest games to look out for this coming weekend. On Saturday, of course, the 6 p.m. kickoff. Reigning champs Sing Chiang Rai back at Sing Stadium up north against Buriram United. Yeah, that's a very, very big game. We'll hold up on the preview for this one because we'll have a very special guest, Chiang Rai United fan, Alec, who will join us. Now, Sunday's action, Super Sunday, I should say again, because Port and Muang Thong, so many stories between these two sides on and off the pitch. But again, we're here to preview what's going to be displayed on the pitch because there won't be any away fans for this one for Muang Thong side. So it'll be Port fans, again, 25% capacity. They've limited the media seats again, but hopefully you and I will be able to get in. Again, we'll jump to this one. 6 p.m. kickoff at Pat Stadium. What are you looking out for?
Well, I mean, I'm looking out for how Port are going to line up because, last week, first game under the interim management of Sarah Wood, they played a lot more attacking. They were much more open. They played with Adisak as a focal point up top, dropped Suarez into midfield, and then they started Shapui in the center as well next to Go So Ki, which is a lot more attacking than we saw them play in the first 2 games after lockdown. And it resulted in a win, but it resulted in them being very open in the back. And I think you remember City Choke's amazing goal getting in behind. But all the space that Drat had to score in that game, if they play that way against Muang Thong, then it's going to be, the plan from Gamma will be simple. Hit them early and then sit back and shut them down like BG did. But at the same time, like the way that Jadette was playing, the more defensive option that Port have, also looked very, very sluggish. They struggled to break teams down. There was a massive disconnect between the midfield and the forward line. And honestly, without a striker on the pitch, without a main striker like Adisak, they just don't look as good. I think that both Suarez and Heberty benefit from having a main striker to play off of. So the question is how far obviously they can't play as attacking as they did against Strat, and they can't play as defensive as they did against BG. So where they strike that balance will be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Another fun fact, Port did the double against Muang Thong last season, getting wins home as well as the earlier one away at the SCG. Now for this one, talking about the visitors, Muang Thong, they finally got that first win they're looking for after the COVID break. Gian, I know delay is finally on the score sheet. The second goal in that last game, a very lucky shot there by Supon that deflected off Ukrit. We were there to see it. But Muang Thong, this one, they're coming in. I'm sure all the pressure is going to be at Port, right? Because nobody's probably expecting them to come away with 3 points here, given the squad depth being Port way dominant over Muang Thong's youth. How do you see that?
Well, I think there is some pressure on Muang Thong, and the pressure is more internal. I think that the owners are looking for a sign that the current path is working, and I hope that they stick and are more patient in waiting for things to come together. But I think that there is a need to start showing the higher ups that the project is heading in the right direction. So there is a bit of pressure on that front.
Yeah.
But as for Muang Thong, I think this is the kind of game. I think Ob said it as well in the. I do listen to you guys when I'm not on. Ob said in the last pod that he said this is the kind of game Begama wants. You sit back, you do it against Ratchaburi. You sit back and you let the other team come at you. You wait for them to expose their weaknesses. You strike, you score, and then you just defend for your lives.
Yeah.
But again, don't forget Muang Thong basically conceded 2 goals last weekend against Ratchaburi, right? I mean, before VAR, that the first goal is it's going to stand before VAR was introduced. That would never have been ruled out if VAR wasn't here in the Thai league. So that is a worrying sign to concede 2 goals at home to Ratchaburi. Even Tero only conceded 1.
Yeah.
So the defense is not at the level where you want it to be yet. It's not at the level it was last season, and that needs more work. And I mean, I hope Mirzaev is fit for this game, but I have a bad feeling that even if he is fit, Gama won't pick him because Gama wants guys who can run the channels quickly, can progress the ball quickly, and Mirzaev's fitness might not make him perfect for for that game of tracking back and stopping Port. So it'll be interesting to see how he lines up.
All right, Yen, before we move on, quick score predictions from you. How will this one end up?
I was thinking of going with a draw, but now that I've talked through it, I can see a very narrow Port win, like a lucky bouncing off someone's back.
So 1-0 to Port.
Yeah, 1-0. Some defensive error. It will be going according to plan, and then somebody will make a defensive error, and then Port will win.
Okay,
that's how I see this one going.
I think it's gonna be. I think there are going to be goals in this one. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I see Port. I see Port attacking. I see them getting most of the possession. I see them getting the goals early. But I think off maybe a set piece, off maybe a counterattack. I think Muang Thong have some quality in them as well, as we see it in the last game. So I think there will be goals. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw for this one.
I'd much rather watch a 2-2, I've got to say.
Of course. Now we'll move on to the other game Sunday night. It's a 7 p.m. kickoff. This one, Chonburi. Yes, they finally got the away win they're looking for. Well, for True Bangkok, it's the opposite. They suffered a defeat at home against BG Pathum, and now they'll be looking to go away to Chonburi Stadium and pick up those 3 points again. So a team basically jumping back and forth between form, win, lose, win. While for True Bangkok, it was completely all wins before the drop last game. So, Guillaume, Chonburi, young side, True Bangkok loves to play the young Thai players as well. We're going to see lots of quality young Thai talents in this game, hopefully. How do you see this one panning out?
Yeah, so the last time I watched Chonburi was the preseason match against Muang Thong before we restarted. And they didn't look too good in that game, so I thought they'd struggle. But they've picked up 6 points since lockdown. They had 2 wins and a loss. And that's really impressive. So they're not going to be pushovers. And I think that, Sasom is showing he can set up a team to soak up pressure and play well on the break. And that's exactly what BG did to Bangkok United last week. But I think that, BU need to win this. They need to win this more than any other game. I think you've got to bounce back quickly. And I think if we talk about BG's game, I think they'll get 3 points as well. So BU is a must-win game. And I know it's early to say that, but it's a very short season. And momentum plays a big role in this kind of short season. And I think they will get the 3 points against Chonburi. The players have a great mentality. And it took, a lot of defensive discipline and a bit of luck for BG to win.
You could argue that both goals that BG scored, the first one, if Hoso Guy was probably 2 inches taller, he'll not slip and clear it away. And the second one, if you hit that a million times, it probably only perfectly lobs over Falkesgaard that one time. So both goals, you could probably argue from BG were luck.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it was a deserved win, but even that was BU on a bad day, and it still wasn't easy to get past them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take too much stock into it, and I would just say, look, they've got to play again. They're still a strong team. In my opinion, they're not as strong as Muang Thong's team when that 2017 when they made that record.
Yeah.
So I think that that team was stronger, and that's why I think they deservedly kept the record. But no, this BU team is very strong, and I think they'll bounce back. And
win. That record that you're talking about, the 6 wins in a row to start off the league record, that's still Muang Thong 2017. They're still the holders for that one. Well, for Chonburi, you did mention there, Hurlison Kayan. Yes, he's got 6 goals, top of the Thai League goal scoring charts there. So if Kayan gets on the scoreboard early, you never know. Maybe the Sharks have something up their sleeves. Gian, score predictions for you on this one. Will it go to Chonburi or will it go to True Bangkok? You sort of mentioned there you sided towards True Bangkok.
I'll go with a 2-1 to BU.
Okay. You know what, Gian, just for the sake of it, I'm going to go for a 2-1, but the other way. I think that Sasom and his boys at home, Chonburi at home are a different side than Chonburi away. I'm just saying, Chonburi at home, they're different. They're different. And I don't know, maybe it rains, maybe the weather goes in their favor. The defensive ball, you never know. It's rainy these days.
I'll never forget the rainy disaster last year, BU against Chonburi.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh god, that was a disaster.
Water ball.
This is already becoming the ultimate like agenda pod. We should we're just pushing our agenda.
Anyways, all right, there we go. So we view differently there. Now, all right, again, before we bring our guests on, any other games happening this weekend that stands out for you? We got BG Rayong on Saturday, Sukhothai and Tero also on Saturday. That one will kick off just before Suphanburi and Trat. While for Sunday, Ratchaburi hosts Prachuap and Samut Prakan will host Korat. So any of those 5 that stands out for you?
I mean, 3 off the bat, 3 stood out to me immediately. I think BG against Rayong is quite an interesting one. I think we have seen many title races in the past, and if you can call it a title race, it's still quite early, where a team that's not used to being on top gets there, and they, once they're there, they panic and they lose a game they should win. I think we saw that with BU when they were racing against Buriram back in 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it tends to happen a lot. A lot of teams get there, only spend 1 week there.
Yeah.
And I think BG would be, foolish to underestimate Rayong, because Rayong can put up a game, even though they are, according to some, the worst team in the league. They can still put up a game. You saw them put up a game against Samut Prakan, who play a similar, defensive style, and we're not used to taking such initiative in a game when they played against Rayong. And it was a close one for them. It was a win, but it was a close one. But that being said, I think BG have, a ridiculous amount of game changers in the team, even going forward, Like Titipan can pop up with a winning goal anytime. Sarach is looking, better than he has in the past couple of years.
Congratulations to Sarach as well with his son.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, congratulations, Sarach. And don't forget Sumanya as well as a game changer. Sirot can be a game changer if you use him correctly. There's a lot of guys in there who can make the difference. So I think
talking about game changers, sorry to interrupt you, but the back 3, they're game changers themselves. Rayong maybe go get on the counter, maybe, something happens. Irfan or Andres or Victor, 1 tackle away, they can save a goal as well. So they have game changers on both the offensive and the defensive end.
Yeah, don't forget, like, playing in crosses to those guys is also lethal, isn't it? So, yeah, I think BG have a lot of outlets to score, Unlike some other teams that play defensively, BG, I think they can turn it on. I think if you gave them 60%, 70% possession, they'd still be able to take 3 points. So I'm going to say BG win there. And then quickly, just to, very quickly mention, Sukhothai and Tero is, really interesting because both teams had great starts, and then last week wasn't great for them. How did they respond? And Samut Prakan as well. Can they keep the winning run? It's a couple of interesting things there.
Sukhothai, you mean Sukhothai?
Sukhothai and also Samut Prakan, they beat Prachuap last week. Can they keep it up against Kora?
Yes,
for both of those. And I'm going for a Samut Prakan win and a Sukhothai win in those 2.
Okay. I mean, hot takes right there. Hot takes. They're facing tough opponents, but still, I'm sure that those takes are your views and backed up by some stats. Anyways, we'll now move on to the second segment of our show. This is where we bring on our guests who will join us for the preview of the big one Saturday night. This is Sing Chiang Rai taking on Buriram United, reigning champs against the champs that they took the throne from. We'll have him on the show coming next. Hello, welcome back to the second part of Thai League Central podcast. He's finally here. Yes, super hyped Alec Peoples, Sing Chiang Rai fan. The Saturday 6 p.m. kickoff where the reigning champs up north will take on the team they dethroned it from out east in Isan, Buriram United. Alec, big game. How are you feeling?
Really confident, actually. I feel great going into the game, and fully. Maybe I hope I don't have to eat my words, but fully expecting the 3 points. So yeah.
fully expecting 3 points. How, since you're right after the break, they got both the wins they're looking for, and then last week as well, they went away and got that third win. So it's been a perfect comeback since COVID. Lots of people counted you guys out saying, yeah, it's a one season wonder. They're not going to even finish top 4. But now it looks like you're back on track to do great things. How's the overall mood? I mean, which players have been playing well for you? Who's you been impressed with? How's it going overall?
Yeah, so I mean, back on your league preview a couple weeks ago, I said that I think we were probably one of the clubs poised to benefit most from the break. I believe I said that I think a lot of our bad start was tired legs, right? Everybody's just a bit run into the ground from a difficult season and then the Champions League and all of that. And it looks like I was right because, I mean, the team does look kind of just refreshed. There seems to be a lot more energy on the field. Bill came back from break and it's just been on a tear, right?
Yeah.
And, it was quite surprising. We're even down Aparak and Silvercorn and Chayawat, some of our best players. And we still look really good. So I think it's only going to go uphill from there. Obviously, Ekinet had some extra time to recover from his injury. So the mood's really good. I think there's a lot of positivity right now. The match for Saturday is sold out. I was talking earlier. I've had to try and scrape out a ticket last minute. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement in Chiang Rai especially. And I think it's good right now.
Yeah, another name you should mention is Chotipat Phumkeo, who's been involved with at least a goal in all 3 of the games since he's returned.
Yeah.
Full form right there.
Yeah, that he's kind of came out of nowhere to really step up big time and fill in for some of those missing players, and I think that's kind of been the story of Chiang Rai as they've as we've trended upwards over the past couple of years from the domestic cups and then the league and then this year. It's always just been kind of somebody steps up, right? Whether it was last year, Ekinet kind of having his breakout, and then I think we have a lot of talent in the squad that can and does shine when they're given the chance. So
throughout all the history of these sides playing against each other, Buriram's been the heavy favorite. They've won home, away, countless of years. Now, Gian, I want to ask you a bit about Buriram. They haven't won. They haven't even got a point out of Chiang Rai in the past 2 years. So both 2019 and 2018, they've lost the games that they visited Singh Stadium. How do you think Buriram will do in this season's away game up north?
Well, I think Buriram, in the long run, they're going to come in the top 4 and they're going to make a challenge for the title. I think people tend to underestimate the intangible advantages of being Buriram. For example, the benefit they gain from being in that stadium is massive. Mm-hmm. The fact that they train more professionally than any other club. Even if they look bad today, look bad tomorrow, in the long run, they will be up there. They will be around there. So nobody can stop Buriram. They can just slow them down. And that's why I think if Chiang Rai want to come in the top 4, this is a massive game to slow Buriram down. And then BG next week to slow Buriram down. But I think the fact that Buriram need 3 points and really desperately will play into Chiang Rai's hands, because Buriram are much better at defending a game than chasing a game. I think it draws a safe prediction to go with. Chiang Rai could definitely snatch it. And I think if I had to pick a winner, I'd probably lean Chiang Rai. But I think a draw is most likely for me.
Yeah, but okay, I wanted to ask you another question on Buriram. Last weekend, they played all their foreign signings in the game at home against Suphanburi. Some stood out, some maybe didn't perform as to the level people may have expected. Gian, how do you think these players will gel, and do you think that Buriram will play all 4 of them going to Chiang Rai this weekend?
Yeah, I think definitely it'll be all 4. I'd encourage you guys not to judge Shapovic too quickly. That was, I think it takes a while for a striker to get used to his teammates and the way they will, create, the way the way he'll get chances, the sort of spaces to move into. It all takes a while. But I think that Buriram will play all four because Ismatullah really created a lot of solidity in the midfield. And if they go with that team, they'll be very hard to break down. If they want to go for a win, probably the smarter thing to do is to pull Ismatullah into the back three, and then that'll help them play out from the back more, maybe add an extra midfielder or an extra forward if they really want to go for a win. And I was expecting that. I assume if they hadn't been leading, it's probably they'd have tried that. Yeah. But I think that Buriram will start cautious and they'll probably play all four.
Yeah, and talk about forwards, Alec. Any chance we see Jackson Coelho? Yes, Jaja. Any chance we'll see him score or look to score against the club that brought him to Thailand? Or do you think Bill's too red hot to make way? Or could they both play together?
Bill's going to score. No questions there from me. Man, I would love to see Jaja get off the mark. So he's only played, 10 minutes, I think. He came on for his cameo last week. We've not got to see much of him, and he did not look that great. He didn't look bad, but he just, I think there's a lot of expectations, right? That was going to be tough to live up to. But, he needs time. Like you said, any new striker needs time to gel. And I think he's still lacking a bit of fitness. So I don't know. I could see, like Ian said, Buriram's not going to be great if they have to chase this game. So if Chiang Rai can score early, I think we might end up seeing kind of a similar result to last year where it was 4-0 at Singh. If that's the case, right? Because, once Buriram has to start coming out and attacking, if that's the case, then I could see Jaja maybe coming in and then getting a goal. My worry is, obviously the brothers in Buriram. I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for our back line. For a team that was so sound defensively last season, I think we're lacking a lot this year. Brenner's been as good as always, and they even, he didn't even make the bench last week. I'm hoping that was just rest. I've not heard of any injuries or anything. So we still have kind of the talisman in the back line, but we really lack for pace. And every team we've came up against, all three games have had a lot of chances. Last week, I think there was only one shot on goal. It was, they ended up not getting any on goal, but there was a lot of chances, right? So when you have, those clinical finishers and Skepovic and Supachai and Supachok, it could be, like Ian said, quite a balanced game back and forth. So,
yeah. Ian, any other talking points you want to mention about for this super clash on Saturday evening?
Well, I just wanted to ask Alec, how do you see Jaja and Bill playing together? Is that even possible? I can't imagine in my head how that could possibly work.
Yeah, I was really, above all else, I was curious just to see Jaja in general, but above all else, I was anxious to see those two play together. So I was glad last week when Jaja came on with Bill, right? It wasn't a 1-for-1 swap I think many people might have assumed. So that's been the big question, and that's my curiosity. I don't know, because when you watched Bill and William play together, it was quite obvious that their strengths are, very different. You have William that can get down the wings, that can be pacey, that's good on the ball, and Bill that's obviously a great finisher. Watching them play together, it almost seems like Bill has to play the role of William this season. Bill has to create the chances, and I don't know. Again, like I said, I know it was a first match. I'm trying not to judge, but Jaja didn't have a great first touch. He didn't look too great dribbling, and so that was leaving Bill to kind of create all of that, and hopefully leave the end product for Jaja to finish. But yeah, we'll see, man. Because Bill's not that kind of guy. And if that's the plan long-term is for that to happen, I don't see that working out at all. I see it being more of, and I hate to use this term because it's not but a super sub. But I don't think Jaja's really a super sub, so who knows?
All right. Before we end today's podcast, let's get to it. Score predictions. Alec, you hold on to yours because Gian, I'm gonna go to you first.
I just realized, going through the teams in our pod today, how many Thai teams play just functional football with the most cautious approach you could possibly imagine, and it's actually kind of sad. So I could see a 0-0 or a 1-1. I think a 1-1 is lucky. I think it can be a 0-0.
Okay. So that's.
Sorry, Alec. I mean, I want it to be better than that.
No need to apologize.
No, but I'm just thinking about how the game's gonna go with defensively, and I want to see something fun, but I can't. I don't think it's. Yeah. I hope it happens. 1-1 maybe. I'll go with 1-1. A bit optimistic.
Okay, Alec, I'm shifting to you. How confident are you? What's your score prediction?
So last season, leading into the big match at Sing, if you would have asked me, I would have said 1-1, 0-0. We were very pragmatic last season. We were obviously, chasing a title too, so I think we were less apt to chase games and kind of settle for what we could get. And so I would have agreed last season. This season, I think we look a bit more willing to play through a match, right? We look a bit more willing to chase a game and to really put our mark on it than we look likely to sit back. So I think it's going to be a 3-1 for Chiang Rai. But even if Chiang Rai, I could see it also being 3-1 for Buriram, right? I think there's going to be quite a few goals.
Okay.
Obviously, I think it'll be Chiang Rai. I hope it's Chiang Rai. But I think either way, I think both teams are going to want to really come out. And we're not in the late season, right? Both of Chiang Rai's just leaped into the top 4. Obviously, we have a couple games in hand. But Buriram's, looking to get back up there. I think both teams want to really kind of make a statement. Especially with the schedule coming up as well, right? So I think there's going to be quite a few goals. So 3-1, hopefully Chiang Rai, but 3-1 Buriram is probably just as likely, honestly.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope I'm
I'm gonna go with a 1-0 Chiang Rai win. I'm gonna go nice and simple. I think you guys have enough in you to sneak a goal in and just defend for your lives for the 20, 30, whatever amount of minutes after you get that first goal. Or it could be a late winner. You never know. But I think it's going to be a 1-0 win for Chiang Rai. Buriram haven't looked good at all since the return. I know it's just one game, but still, that's what we can only base it off from. Anyways, thank you so much, Alec, for joining the show. Gian, thanks to you too for joining me for this podcast. Till next time, peace.